Hello, everybody. We'll get started with the webinar at this time. Just a quick systems check. Give me an OK in the chat box if you're seeing my screen all right and hearing me clearly. Okay, I've got enough responses. Looks like we're ready to go. Thank you very much. So my name's Troy. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I'll be leading the session this evening on the cryptos. Some interesting movements. Today's kind of a bank holiday in the US, being Martin Luther King Day. So uh, with the cryptocurrencies mostly all paired against the USD, we've got some pure crypto movements without any USD announcements today. So it's an interesting setup. I think the cryptocurrencies lend themselves in general to very good technical analysis strategies because they're decentralized. They don't have one country to call home. And then put that on top of the fact that we've got USD with the bank holiday for the most part, with limited trading today on the U.S. session and U.S. assets. I think it's a good day for technical trading on cryptos. We'll take a look at that. We'll see how it already has been today. And what you might move forward doing. It'll be somewhat of a limited session this evening because of the limited markets for the day, but we'll take a good look at the crypto movements and the crypto index as well. Looks nice to trade on, the crypto 10 index, and so we'll take a look at all those assets, answer any questions you have. Maybe short but sweet this evening. Okay, so obviously all investments have risk. This is true with forex trading, CFDs, spread betting options. Same idea. No one investment or one trade is guaranteed to have profits, but obviously we have the potential for nice profits with each investment, which is why we're all here, to go after the nice profits that you can potentially reach. And from an educational perspective, certainly not from financial advisement perspective, we'll go over some ideas, some information on the charts, some strategy concepts, things that I've seen work over the years, literally working with thousands of clients, things that have worked for myself and that I've seen work for others in terms of strategies and information sources to help you hopefully be more profitable in the end. Hopefully you're already profitable, but we can always continue to learn and hopefully improve upon our profitability with our strategies. Now, you can find our full risk disclosure statement on avatrade.com. It's always there for you to take a look at and read through. But in general, I think we all understand that all investments have risk. There are no guarantees when you're investing, and that would hold true even if you're investing in real estate for that matter. Okay, so here's the economic schedule for the day. And as you'll see, there are no USD announcements other than investing.com had their own announcement, but there are no jobs announcements, no earnings numbers, no factory numbers coming out of the US. So it's a pretty dull day with a lot of the assets except for the cryptocurrencies, which have been moving quite well today. Oil had some movement with some supply fears that had kicked in, but that's for another day. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk a bit about oil and gold and some of the other assets. Now, in general, some positive sentiment for cryptos today. Both of these headlines I'm about to show you came out today. Here's one that shows Bitcoin and the other coins still have an uptrend. Okay, and we'll take a look at that on the charts. Despite a recent setback, a drop in many of the crypto coins, we'll see that they're uptrending quite a bit, and that has continued today. Another article talking about crypto market sentiment climbing. We talked a little bit about that last week, and we see some continued climbing of sentiment. We've got Bitcoin up into nearly out of the somewhat positive zone and into the highest very positive zone. Not quite, but getting there. So really some momentum with some of these coins. Ethereum also getting into the somewhat positive zone in terms of the sentiment. And really what's key is look at the percent changes over the last 7 days. Bitcoin 6.9%, Ethereum 12.6%, Ripple nearly 10%, etc. We can even see some of these others, Litecoin, EOS with a huge percent gain and up into the somewhat positive zone. So really positive sentiment movements with the crypto market in general. So that's something to keep in mind as we go to my demo account. We take a look at the same movements you see on your live accounts. Keep in mind the sentiment and the direction that momentum has been heading. And so those sentiment scores, those articles came out today. Okay, so if you'd have caught those articles earlier today, after this pull down, okay, this was today as we came into Monday, we see the market dropped, and then look at this rebound up, and that's corresponding after those articles about positive sentiment. We see that there was a rebound back up. Okay, so if we go, let's look maybe 1 hour candles. We'll eliminate some of these wicks a little bit, and we'll see it made sense that it bounced from over here. If we look at where this support level was back here, okay, here was the old support until it came all the way up here and it worked its way down right near that support level on, this is Ripple that we're looking at here. Came right down near this support level and popped back up. Now, if you had seen the positive sentiment articles and saw that it was nearing this support level, you easily could have made the decision to trade up from this support. And had you done that, you'd add a nice little profit there, a nice ability to scalp coming up off this support level. Now, the question is, how would you have known where to take profit? Well, the resistance level was right up here. We can see that. This was the old resistance before the drop. Here's the resistance. It tested this support today, and then with the positive sentiment news, up it went. And where did it predictably stop climbing? Right at the resistance level from earlier in the day. So this was this morning. This was a drop off that resistance right down to the support. The predictable spot to bounce was that support. It bounced right back up to the resistance. So there's an example of what I was saying, that the technical trading today was amazing. Okay, and we can look at the same thing on some of the other crypto brands, but look at the if you're doing just technical analysis, you said, okay, here's the major support level. You saw that it was breaking this little support here and dropping towards that support. You could have easily put a buy limit order in just above the support. Okay, here's the support. So just above the support, you program a buy limit. If you're trying to be too perfect and wait until it comes all the way to the support, sometimes you miss the movements. So usually your buy limit would be somewhere right above the support level. And in this case, if you had it high enough, you would have been in on this big bounce right up off the support. Okay, great technical trading with these cryptos. And so right up off the support, and that was a huge rise. Okay, that's a huge rise. I know we're looking at what, 0.22 to 0.23, but that's a big movement when the value of the asset is only 0.22 and it goes to 0.2322. Okay, that's a lot of twos, I guess, but that's a lot of climbing percent-wise. That's a lot of points of climbing, and you could have made quite a large profit on that bounce. Okay, now let's take a look at what do you do next. Okay, the question is, okay, if I'm trading only technical trading, then here's a resistance level, then maybe I should take a market move down. Okay, you could do that. That's one option. And if you take a market move down off this resistance to come back down towards this support that it was at earlier today, where might you put your stop loss in case the momentum that we saw today, positive sentiment, in case it breaks that resistance and keeps climbing? Where might you put your stop loss to limit your risk on a market sell? Where would it make sense technically speaking? Yeah, just above the resistance, right? And really, you got to be careful here going against the sentiment, right? The sentiment is positive momentum. We just looked at the articles, all right? Uptrends being established in one article. The other article talking about really good improvements in sentiment on most all of these crypto pairings. So listen, I'm not going to tell you you can't trade for a pullback back down. A pure technical trader would avoid those headlines and trade down off this resistance and risk a minimal amount for a much larger potential profit. That's okay. All right, that's one option. And the thing is, you can do both. Okay, You could do a 1-2 move here. You can trade down off the resistance. What kind of pending order would, if it breaks this resistance, buy for you from your established location up here? Yeah, buy stop. Very simple strategy. You could trade on a buy stop if it breaks through. Now, I tend to be more patient with my moves. So if I took a market sell, my buy stop wouldn't be after the first resistance level is broken. I might only get in if it breaks the second resistance level, which is right here. Okay, resistance, resistance. If it tests this, I might still be in on my sell if I took a sell, right? If I chose to take a market sell right now, if it tests this first resistance, I'm still in, and then it could come down and I'm profiting. Only if it breaks the first resistance and the second one, then I have my stop loss up here. That's called widening the strike zone, being more patient. If you don't want to risk so much to go that far to your stop loss, well, then just take a smaller trade if you want your stop loss further away. And then you avoid the little spike that could hit a stop loss that's too close before it drops. Okay? It's hard to be so perfect. And a lot of times, if you afford yourself the ability for the first resistance to get broken and it has to break the second one before you give up, then you see a lot of times it ends up going your way and you are able to be more patient by not putting your stop loss just through one level of resistance, but through the second one as well. And again, you don't have to risk more to do that. You can take half the trade size and put your stop loss twice as far away to get through 2 levels of resistance if you believe in the sell, right? If you believe in it. Now, the same then could be true to say, okay, if it breaks this resistance, do I want my buy stop here? Or do I want to really establish a momentum and have it break 2 resistance levels before I get in on a buy stop up here? And again, I'm more comfortable waiting for stronger confirmation, being more patient. So this could be my dead zone between here, meaning I don't have my buy stop activating or my stop loss. If I get in on a market sell, I'm patient until it breaks through up here. Then I get out, and then maybe that's where my buy stop activates, because boy, it took some momentum to break this resistance and this one. That might mean something for a bigger movement if it broke both of those resistance levels. Then maybe the buy stop really is more solid in your mind as being an uptrend, and maybe it makes more sense to get in with the buy stop up here. Because look where the next resistance level is. If it breaks here and here, the next resistance level, the major resistance level, isn't until way up here. Okay, that's a lot further distance than from here to here. Okay, from here to here is twice that distance for potential climb if it breaks that second resistance level. Type OK if you're with me on that, on the concept of widening the strike zone, being more patient both with your market move, with your stop loss, and also being more patient to avoid false signals before getting in on a pending order. Okay, a lot of times, if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of distance on your potential profit, meaning getting in a little bit later, many times that patience, even though you're sacrificing some of your potential profit by getting in a little later, many times that helps you avoid the false signals. And so then your win percentage could improve, even though you get in on less moves. You know, winning 3 out of 4 is better than winning 4 out of 8, right? So, or winning 3 out of 5 is better than winning 4 out of 8, because in the end, you'll profit better by having that higher win percentage, avoiding the false signals, being more patient on your stop losses and your entry points, rather than getting in on every little breakthrough. Okay, and we've all seen it. We've all seen the spike that hits your stop loss, then it goes. And you say, wow, I should have had my stop loss further away. But then you say, but then I'd be risking more than I want. And that's where you just have to be willing to say, okay, then I take a smaller trade for the balance that I have so that I can have my stop loss in a more ideal location. That is if you're using a stop loss. Not everybody does. Not saying you have to, but it's certainly one way to risk manage your trade. Okay. All right, great. So, that's Ripple. And that strategy, that concept we just talked about, can apply to anything. That can be, you can be trading on Dow Jones, you can be trading on, Adidas or whatever it might be. Stocks, indices, gold, oil, same concept, same idea. Widening the strike zone a bit so you don't have to be so perfect with your entry point. You can be more patient without even risking more, but just with settling that, okay, maybe I'll have a smaller potential profit with a smaller trade so that I can be more patient. Okay, just an idea. So let's look at Bitcoin. And what you'll see is it's very similar. It looks exactly like the last one we were just looking at, right? We've got support level down here that was reached. Support, support, support. This one gave you 3 chances to trade up off the support. Imagine if you had your buy stop down here. This was just today, last night and today. If you had your buy limit down here on the old support from over here, okay, it hits once, you buy. Okay, let's say you missed the first one. You say, okay, and it respected the support. It's a dead day for news because it's a US holiday. So you say, okay, why should it break the support? The article you read, it says positive sentiment. You know, the fundamental news, if you looked at it, you would have said, okay, maybe I put a buy limit down here. Look, second chance, right off the support, back up. Third chance, right off the support, back up. Okay, we're talking this movement from 84.79 up to 86.92. We're talking over $200 bounce with a simple buy limit strategy, pending order off of the support line. This is how cryptocurrencies many times trend, especially on holidays when there's not much going on. Okay, because a lot of people are trading on the cryptos, causing the big bounces and movements. The volume of trading goes up on cryptos because a lot of the other assets are closed on holidays. So holidays are great times to trade on cryptocurrencies because they're still open and other markets are closed. Okay, weekends too, for that matter. Trade your cryptos through the weekend. Everyone's focusing on that. Most everything else is closed. Okay, the technical analysis on cryptocurrencies many times is tremendous. So imagine if you were just trading a simple strategy, trading down from the resistance. Okay, resistance, resistance, down, bounce up off the support, take your profit before the resistance, respected the resistance, back down. Now it's in the middle of a movement again. Okay, trending very, very nicely. Up and down, easy technical analysis strategies. Okay, so again, we can find a second resistance level here. Okay, resistance, resistance, breakthrough, became support, and then a breakthrough candle, and it becomes resistance again. Same price level. Resistance becomes support here, becomes resistance here. It's predictable, the spot where it's going to reverse from many, many times. Okay, it's not a coincidence that this big bounce reversed right from this spot, which is exactly the spot where there was resistance here and support here. Almost exactly, okay? Don't let me get carried away. Almost exactly the same spot, give or take, okay? So you know, in general, as it gets near that location, it makes sense to take your profit off this bounce, okay? And then it makes sense to sell. If you're respecting the resistance, trading just technically, a technical trader will sell off this resistance. Look how it bounced right back down. It hit the resistance, came back down here, all the way back down over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours maybe, and then right back up again. Okay, easy profits. A 1-lot position, this one bounce here, a 1-lot position would have paid $2,000 plus. Simple buy limit strategy. Okay, now we're kind of in the middle, aren't we? We've got a resistance level here, but we're in the middle almost of the upper resistance and the lower support. That's kind of where we're sitting. So maybe technically speaking, not the greatest entry point right now on Bitcoin. Maybe not the greatest entry point. We've kind of missed the movement. We're stuck right in the middle of the market. So what kind of pending orders could we put here to prepare for when the market does move again. Well, it worked last time, right? Doesn't mean it'll work the next time, but we could put a sell limit from this resistance level if it gets up there, and we could put a buy limit from this support level down here in case it gets back down. Doesn't take much time. Program a buy limit from down here to buy if it hits the support. Program a sell limit to sell if it hits this higher resistance up here. And while you're at it, you could program a buy stop in case it breaks the resistance and hits the stop loss on the sell limit. If this one's a sell, when it gets up here, if it breaks through and goes high enough and you deem that the end of your sell, and that's where you have your stop loss, then it would make sense to buy for the same reason. You could see a rapid climb just like this. You know, you only need to be right on one of these. If you're programming a buy limit here, a sell limit here, a buy stop here, you know, it could come up, trigger your sell limit, hit your stop loss, you lose. It could hit here and go flying up like this, came down. Many times you see a reverse of what happened in the past. So it took all this momentum to come down. So if it breaks through, you could see a reverse of that and come flying up. Think about how much profit that climb would make compared to what you're risking from here or from a sell limit from this resistance up here. Okay, it's like 5 times the potential profit, even if you only have a 50% accuracy here. If you were wrong on the sell limit and it doesn't go all the way down here, right? This potential profit here is about 4 or 5 times what you're risking to your stop loss. This potential profit here is about 4 or 5 times what you're risking to your stop loss back down. You only need to be right once on 2 or 3 of these, and you made an overall profit. Type OK if you're with me on that. This is called having a trade set. A trade set, not trying to pick one direction. So the idea is you're not trying to guess the market. You're not trying to be right. That's a lot of traders need to get that through their minds. You don't have to be right. You just have to be smart. Okay? If you try and just take one trade and you say, oh, I think Bitcoin's going to climb, and you put everything on the climb and you cross your fingers and you wake up the next day nervous to check your trade, that's gambling, isn't it? Doesn't it make more sense to have a strategy, to have a trade set, to say if this happens, I'll be in here. If it goes this way, okay, I'll get out, I'll take this. And you're looking at the potential profit, maybe paying out much larger than the risk, and looking at the history and saying, wow, if I'd have done this in the past, I would have won. And saying, okay, the future's no guarantee that it'll repeat the past, but it sure does quite often. And if you only need to be right, say 1 out of 3 times, it's not hard to do that. If you're looking at cryptocurrencies, even just from a technical analysis standpoint, it's not hard to do that. Now, if you look at the fundamentals, like we did with those articles, you could have saw those articles earlier today, this morning, you would have known to respect this support level. Everything was about positive sentiment for Bitcoin and cryptos. So you would have known after this bounce that when it came down again just a few hours ago to buy up from the support. If you went with the sentiment and look at the bounce again, within 2-3 hours, it went up 150 plus, even on the second, third chance of the day. Okay, so it's okay to go with sentiment, with some fundamental news, and combine that with your technical analysis, and look how well it would have turned out here and here. And on the other cryptocurrency we looked at, we can also look at the crypto 10. Indices are great to trade on. Indices are tremendous to trade on because it's a group of assets. What's interesting, the crypto 10 has broken the resistance already. You see, here was the resistance, the old support, the breakthrough, resistance. Look, we're on top of it. The crypto 10 is on top of it. That includes Bitcoin and EOS and Ethereum, and the top 10 cryptocurrencies traded by volume are in the crypto 10. The crypto 10 already broke the resistance. Maybe that clues you in that the overall market is going to break resistances, and you say, oh, Bitcoin's still below the resistance. So maybe you say, I'm not going to trade down off the resistance. I'm going to put a buy stop and wait for it to break through. Why? Because the crypto 10 already broke through. The average of the 10 cryptos already broke through the resistance. And so maybe that clues you in what you want to do, what you'd prefer to do is maybe go with the sentiment. Because the crypto 10 already broke it, it's sitting on top of what is now support. And maybe you have an idea of what you'd want to do with Bitcoin, which hasn't broken the resistance yet. So maybe you decide to put a buy stop if it breaks the first resistance level, right? Maybe you say, I'm not going to sell. I'll only buy if it breaks the first resistance level, then I'm in on a buy stop. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. This is an example, right, of combining fundamental news, also using other assets to decide what you think will happen with a current asset. So if the overall crypto market has broken the resistance and is bouncing now off of the new support, if that clues you in as to what you think Bitcoin will do, then you make the move accordingly, right? There's no guarantee it'll be right, okay? But you should use logic, have a strategy. And if you look and you notice there's a trend, and there certainly is a trend, if you notice that there's a trend that as the crypto 10 goes, many times many of the individual cryptos follow if they happen to be trailing. If you notice that trend and you believe in it, then that gives you an edge. That's how that opening slide I was showing you, that about 30%, 29% of all traders with AvaTrade profit long term, like a professional trader, right? People who can profit long term for months and years. How does almost a third of the traders with AvaTrade do that? By being professional in their approach, by having a strategy that gives you an advantage that the majority of people didn't think of, right? And so this is how you do it. You gain an advantage by having insight, by maybe noticing that one asset can help to clue you in as to what other assets might be about to do. Okay, I can give you some other examples. And so cryptocurrencies, if you use the AvaGo app, we have something called Ava Protect. Right now, it's not available on cryptocurrencies, but you can use these sorts of strategies with gold. If you see NASDAQ shoot up, what do you think gold's going to do if it hasn't dropped yet? Right? Many times, if you see indices flying up, that means positive news for the markets. You can anticipate what another asset might do, like the volatility index or gold might go the other way. Maybe you see a trend with that. Maybe you even using the AvaGo app, use the Ava Protect feature to protect the trade against losses. Tato, it's just you complaining about sound. It must be on your end if it's not clear for you. Everyone gave me the okay starting out. If anyone's having issues, let me know. But as far as I know, most everyone's okay on audio. So the point I'm making here is the more tools you can put together to form a logical strategy, and beyond the cryptos with gold and silver and all the FX pairings, you can even start to use Ava Protect, which allows you for a flat cost to cover all the risk, no matter how far it goes the wrong way for defined time periods. So if it's a day we're expecting high volatility, you can use the AvaGo app and Ava Protect on some of these other assets to protect against all the losses for a flat cost for defined time periods, which is really nice. This is what professional traders and long-term success traders are doing. Okay, managing risk in ways that make sense, and having a plan with a set of trades, not just guessing the market on one trade necessarily. Okay, so interesting, Bitcoin's behind the greater movement of the rest of the market. It hasn't broken the resistance yet, and the crypto 10 did. Okay, so that means some of the others must have already broken the resistance because the crypto 10 got carried through. And look, Litecoin already broke the resistance. This first resistance level, it broke through it. Okay. Ripple didn't break the resistance yet. So you have to think about the opportunity that could be here if this breaks the resistance, or the opposite, right? The opportunity if it doesn't. Neo, also fighting the resistance. All of them either have broken the resistance or are fighting it. They're not bouncing quickly down. And doesn't that make sense with the fundamental news we looked at, the sentiment? The sentiment's positive. When it hit the support, boy, did it bounce straight back up, all of these. When it's hitting the resistance, it's fighting it. It's taking its time coming down. So this might clue you in again as to what direction you might want to trade. Okay? And that's not for me to tell you. That's for you to decide what you think fundamentally, but also you can decide to trade just technically and just go by percentages. I'm risking this much to make that much. I only need to be right 1 out of 3 times and I profit. You can work robotically like that as well. Okay? And use the fundamental news to your advantage. If it's hitting a support, you think it's positive news, then maybe you're more likely to trade a little larger off the support than you would to trade down off the resistance. Okay? Making that logical shift with how aggressive you want to be based on how confident you are in the direction. And maybe always going for, technically speaking, an advantageous entry point. Up off resistance, down off support, up on a breakthrough through the resistance, down on a breakthrough of support. Always going with what technologically is sound, and maybe preferring larger trades in the direction that the fundamental news tells you in your mind that you should maybe be more aggressive. Okay. All right, everybody. Any questions before we end things? We've been going about 35 minutes or so. I promised you it would be a concise session. I think there's some nice opportunities for breakthroughs as we head into tomorrow to set up some trades now. Nice ranging here on many of these assets. Some of them already broke through. So I think you've got some opportunity here to make some nice moves. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining. Appreciate the attendance. I appreciate the questions and the input. I'd like to see you all trading on some cryptos this evening, going into tomorrow, whether you have some market moves and or some pending orders, go after it. If you like the looks of some of these, you can't profit without trying. That's for sure. No one ever won a trade they didn't take. Okay, so you got to be in it to win it. Just manage your risk accordingly, okay? All right, thanks, everybody. Bye for now.